Okay, y'all, this is how to get started on your drawing that's gonna become your painting. Whenever you're working on this, I need you to remember that we've put a crease in your photo. When you got your photo, it was all folded up like this, and it was attached to the top of your watercolor paper. So that's important. These creases mean something. You've got a split down the middle and a split down the middle right here. Exactly like your picture, your painting. Somebody's already done this for you. We've already measured it. This watercolor paper is gonna be 2 times bigger than your printout. So how to get started? I suggest starting in one rectangle at a time, because this is what's gonna be drawn right here. This one is gonna be here. This one will go here, and that one will go here. So let's start with the top left one. So I'm gonna fold everything away to where all I can see that's left is that. And I've got a couple of tricks for you. The first one, it's called sighting. You're gonna sight, eyesight. You're gonna have to kind of use your imagination, because you can really only see what I'm talking about when you do it yourself. But first you start out with your picture in the middle of kind of like the rectangle of, the section you're working on. And it's really important that you stand up over it. If you're sitting down, your vision's kind of like skewed from the side, and you'll get things kind of off a little bit. So it's important that you're like looking right down on top of it. And I want you to imagine, if I were to close one of my eyes, you gotta close one eye, and I hold this over. I know my head's in your way right now, but just pretend. If I hold this over and I have one eye closed, if I lower my picture, this gets smaller in my vision, and if I raise my picture up, it gets bigger, okay? This is how we sight. One thing you have to be careful of is keep your picture parallel to the paper, meaning flat. Don't let it kind of tilt or do anything like that on you. So you want to keep it like flat, just like your paper is, okay? Now, I'm gonna look at it from over the top, and I'm gonna close one of my eyes, and I'm gonna find a place where it goes small and big. Find a place where all of a sudden in my vision, the paper becomes the same size as the rectangle here. So hang on, I can't do 2 things at once. Okay. So right now I'm directly over it, and I can tell in my vision that the paper and, the printout and the watercolor paper are the same size. So I can literally come right here with my one eye closed, and I can tell that that's where the edge of that mountain is. That's where that darker one is. Somewhere over here is how tall it is. So I just kind of made a couple little marks. I'm hoping you can see those when I did my sighting. And they just kind of like give you clues. It doesn't help you draw the whole thing, obviously, but it gives you clues as to how tall this is when you make it 2 times taller, how wide this is when you make it 2 times wider, and so on. So the only catch about that is you have to be really still, and sometimes I don't mean to, but I, thought I had it lined up, but I didn't have it lined up, and so there is some room for error for that. A lot of people do their whole picture drawn with sighting, and they love it. Some people don't, so it's just kind of like figure out what you like. If you wanted to find something in the middle, say you're trying to figure out where that is, if you wanted to do sighting, you can fold your paper away and then line the edge of this rectangle up on the edge of this rectangle, and do the same trick where you bring it up and down till they match, and then you'll be able to tell, okay, it's right here and it's about that size. So that's how you can kind of draw the whole thing doing that sighting trick. Trick number 2, I call it measuring. I guess you're measuring. You're not using a ruler or anything. But this is my favorite, because it can really help you figure out, when you've done something a little bit off or something like that. So let's say I'm trying to figure out how tall this is in this rectangle. If I put corner to corner, so I'm working in this rectangle, so that's why I'm in here, in this section. I'm not worried about these. And if I put this in that corner, and I make sure that I'm looking over top of it, and I'm just gonna make a mark right where that mountain goes off the page, right there. I just have to do it 2 times, because this is 2 times bigger than your printout. So here's the first one. Now I'm gonna put the corner on that one. Make sure I'm straight, make sure I'm lined up on my crisscross that we've made. And then I'm gonna mark it. So look, that's where I see, when I did the measuring, that the edge of my little mountain is supposed to be. Somewhere like that, it starts right here. I don't know if you can see, but when I sighted the first time, I was like a little, what is that, like a centimeter off? So sometimes the sighting's good, sometimes it's not. It's also good to like use them together because they can kind of like show you mistakes and stuff. So if I wanted to figure out where is the edge of this, I put it in the corner and I'm gonna mark it 1 time. And then I just gotta mark it 2 times. Ooh, my sighting was pretty good on that one. So I know that my little mountain is gonna come out this far. Now it's still hard to tell all this, like how tall am I supposed to go, how skinny am I supposed to make it, all of that, but at least we have 2 spots that we know that mountain has to be at. One trick with measuring, if you want to figure out something that's not on the edge of the paper, you can sort of like find it. So let's say I'm trying to see how tall is this mountain. I want to find out where is that point right there. I'm going to take my pencil, and from that point, I'm just going to draw a straight line over to the edge. And that gives me something to measure. So I'm going to put it back in my corner, and I'm going to measure it twice because this is 2 times bigger. So there goes once. I'll put the corner on my dot I made. There goes twice. So now I know somewhere in here is this dot. But how do I know where? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? We don't know how far to go. We just know it's somewhere in here. So to figure it out, we go back to our dot on our printout, and this time go the opposite way, straight down. So I can put this back in my corner, and I measure it 1 time, and then I measure it 2 times. And so now I know that from here straight up, I draw a line to match this, and look at that. Right here is where they intersect, so right here is right there. So I know that the top of my mountain needs to be somewhere, I need to bring that down, so I'm sorry, somewhere over here. And then you'll have a bunch of dots and stuff. Just get rid of them because you don't want them to confuse you for the next time. You know, we don't need all that. These are nothing. That was just helping us get there. And I know that this is here. So, I mean, you are going to have to kind of draw a lot of it yourself. There's not like magic tricks on everything. But, and I'm going really fast. If you're seeing mistakes, don't think be like, ooh, the teacher can't even draw. I promise I can. It's just hard to do while you're talking because it uses 2 different parts of your brain. But that kind of helps you see how I just made this 2 times bigger than that. Don't worry about making things, don't think I gotta draw bigger. Just let the paper do it. It'll do it itself. Always compare, what does this shape look like compared to the whole space right here? How much is it taking up compared to everything? And then kind of look at yours. Does it look like it's kind of the same proportion as that one is? When you're drawing these clouds, like I said before, squint your eyes, and if edges disappear, you don't have to draw them. But if you do see it, you could even trace it on your printout. But you gotta trace it good, where it kind of gets a little bit fuzzy and you're not sure. And then that would be what you draw. Please refer to my other video when I talked about supplies, because I talk a lot as well about what to draw on here. How to handle all these little dots. Do you draw those or not? What about these words? Do we draw those or not? What about these little things? What about the fuzzy clouds? I talked about all that on that video, so please go back to this. This video is really just about showing you how to sight and also showing you the measuring trick to kind of help you place your stuff, okay? Also check out on this module, I'm gonna put a picture of somebody's before and after, because what you're wanting to do is create like a coloring book outline for us to go back and paint later. And it's not the same picture, but it's like an outdoorsy picture with the mountain and stuff, and you can kind of get the idea. All right, let me know if you have questions.